Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It is also building quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids, finding best educational practices across the globe, and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions is another goal of IIEC. It is also creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also impart training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As you all know that so far we have conducted 153 sessions. We have received 19,287 registrations, 18,094 questions. We have received participation from 8 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal, Kuwait, Russia, and Seychelles. We have received participation from 23 states and 128 cities. We aim to organize minimum 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers. Like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective in detail. Now, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special session. Our first key speaker, a very senior education leader, TB Bharati ma'am. Bharati ma'am is principal with LRG Public School of Vinayak Nagar, Andhra Pradesh. She is a senior education leader with decades of experience. She has been recognized and awarded many times for her contribution to the field of education. We welcome you, Bharati ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Namaste, sir. Namaste, everyone who are all present over here.
Namaskar, ma'am. आपका स्वागत है. Welcome. Our next key speaker, Dr. Neeta Sharma ji. Dr. Sharma is the director principal with Radha International Academy, Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh. Neeta Sharma has been a serial entrepreneur and has successfully forayed into multiple businesses in the education sector over a short span of time. She has been working in education sector for over 10 years. She has done BCom, MBA, BEd, PhD in business administration. Radha International Academy was established by her in 2013. Since then, she has been gaining experience in teaching, managing in the designation of principal, manager, and director. Dr. Neeta Sharma's belief is that education is not about literacy alone. It is about crafting a responsible society of integrated women and men. By the development of a body, mind, intellect, and soul, we can realize this dream. We welcome you, Neeta ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our last key speaker for this very special session, Jaswinder Singh. Sir, Jaswinder ji is the founder and CEO of Wordsworth ELT. He has an experience of 30 years in the field of education and technology and has also served as a consultant to UNESCO and education. Wordsworth English Lab is designed for India and is a highly research initiative of the ACT UNIF Group. It is a trusted education company with 2 decades of service in technology, education, and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia, and content development has been instrumental in presenting a world-class language lab solution for the academia in India. In a short span of time, Wordsworth English Language Lab has managed considerable recognition across the country for its unique content and methodology. Over 3,000 installations in institutions across the country stand testimony of the quality in product, implementation, training, and continual service provided by the ACT UNIF and its committed network of dealers. We welcome you, Jaswinder sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir. With this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the opening remark part. I would invite our key speakers one by one for their opening remark first, and then I would come back to them again for the main talk. So I would request Bharati ma'am, if we can have your quick 1-minute opening remark.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me. And first thing I would like to speak about the technology, the blending education, which is a part of NEP. NEP this now stresses on blended education, technology with the classroom education. My topic, I'm going to speak about that topic.
Right. Thank you, Bharati ma'am. Absolutely, this is a very, very important topic, and we all are very excited with your participation. And I'll be coming back to you. I would now request Neeta Sharma ma'am. Ma'am, if we have your presence, can we have your opening remark, Dr. Neeta Sharma ji? I believe Dr. Sharma is yet to join. Now I would request and invite Jaswinder Singh sir. Sir, if we can have your opening remark.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad to have Bharti ma'am on the panel because both of us, I think, are from the same field, technology and education. I have served the last 30 years into technology, how education, technology can improve, deliver education. So I come from a language training company where we use technology to teach using language labs. So my focus is going to be on both how do we use technology for education and what is it that is going to happen to languages, what is going to be the position of English, because when the government is talking about using local language or the mother tongue for foundation years, a very good thing, fantastic thing, but how do we implement that, and how should the schools plan their projects, their training programs? So that is what I'm going to focus on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. I'll come back to you. I'm told that Neeta ma'am is going to join us in next some moments. So just would like to check, Neeta ji, if you have joined. Dr. Neeta Sharma, here to join. So big thanks, Bharti ma'am, Jaswinder sir, for sharing your opening remark. With this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the main talk part. But before I invite Bharti ma'am for her main talk, I must share the learnings which we have had during our last 153 sessions. During our last 153 sessions, almost every participant shared that this is a wonderful document. This document, if executed well, has the potential to place India at that coveted position of a Vishwa Gyan Guru. But at the same time, a lot of people who participated shared that this is a very, very ambitious document and going to be very, very difficult to execute. Many education leaders who participated shared that teachers training is going to be a key concern area. Many believe, yes, teachers training is a concern area, but the bigger concern area is lack of intent and motivation among teachers to get trained. A lot of people talked about the training part of teachers is going to be concern area. Many believe finance is going to be a key concern area. Many educators also shared their assessment that this pandemic has exposed the poor distribution of digital infrastructure in our country. That is going to be another concern area. A lot of people said that many good schools in urban areas already implementing these policies, many of the ideas of this policy. So the biggest challenge would be for rural school, budget school, and the government school. So I would request all our key speakers that while sharing your perspective, if you can also suggest some ideas, some best practice which you have been implementing in your, respective institution, so that we all can learn from each other, and this session becomes more useful and engaging for all of us. So with this thought, I would request Bharti ma'am, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Actually, NEP, there was a draft NEP much before this pandemic. And this pandemic, during the pandemic, that too when the pandemic was in peak, that is somewhere in the month of July, it came out. The final part of NEP came out. And the blended technology of which I am going to speak about today. So NEP is not because of pandemic has brought out this technology blended education. So much before the pandemic itself, it's really hats off to the people who have framed this entire NEP, that they have a good foresight of how digitalized India has to be. So, but the sudden outbreak of the pandemic, there was the idea of implementation of technology. Neither the students were prepared, nor the teachers, they were trained, nor not even the management had ever any idea of taking off so much of technology into the education. So what I personally feel, the pandemic or the corona has acted as a catalyst in taking forward this technology and education. But all of a sudden, much before training, students were thrown in front of the screens and teachers were dragged in front of the screens, and parents had to pull out their hair, how to do, what to do. So all these, there were many problems with this pandemic. But thanks to pandemic, to some extent, I can say, which did equip some of the teachers and many of the parents towards using of technology. It did really educate the people digitally. Not only, see, technology is only the scientific development, the latest scientific inventions or the discoveries which are used in daily life. No, we use technology in our kitchen in many ways. We use technology in the means of communication. We also use technology in space science. Then why not use technology in education? Because education, unless it is to the 100%, maybe the country cannot progress. So with that intention, the framers of the NEP have wonderfully brought out this concept of blended education. So integrated education is like taking technology, the very general concept. May I share my screen here? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you can do that.
Yeah. Is this visible now to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay,
No,
thank
ma'am.
you.
No, ma'am. What you have to do is you have to click on the portion that you want to show. Right
Yeah,
now,
I
you're
know.
showing the entire screen. No. So what you do is you stop the presentation,
Okay.
go down to this, present now,
Mm-hmm.
click on a window.
Yes, I have done the same thing.
So then when you click on the window, then you have to go and click open the PPT. The PowerPoint is already open, ma'am.
Yes, sir. It is kept ready.
So when you click on a window, it will give you a link, some screens. Which screen do you want to do it? Then you select that screen, ma'am.
This is opening this present screen, sir.
Yeah, it is opening the present screen.
Only
So
the present screen.
The present is, we are again seeing you in the presentation.
Correct. 1 second. 1 second. Can you see now?
Ma'am, we are seeing the present screen.
No. I am presenting. Okay.
No, we can see your screen, not the presentation, ma'am.
Oh, right.
And meanwhile, I must welcome
Okay.
Dr. Neeta Sharma ji. Welcome, Neeta ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, ma'am.
Am I
I'll be coming
visible
back to
now?
you.
Is my presentation visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
It is
ma'am.
visible.
Okay, then thank you. So actually, practically speaking, these were some of the problems. Like when the teachers not able to present the screen, they were not trained. They were never trained actually previously. And maybe some of the teachers or some of the maybe some of the corporate schools, I can say, or some of the well-established schools, they had an opportunity to have smart boards in the classrooms. But not all the classroom, not all the schools, not all the budget schools could have these smart boards. Or maybe if the smart board was available, it was only one audio visual room could be maintained, or maybe in turns children were taken and they were shown. So this screen presentation, all these teachers were not aware. Never such a training was given to them. This was one major problem. And now blended classroom, so it's a blended learning. A very generally held notion is only online with the classroom. So this is a common, very common a very common belief which was held by the people. A teacher, instead of teaching on board, he will go to a video or a projector. He'll take from net and maybe from CD. He'll use his own PC or whatever laptop. Then he will present it on the board. This is what is the general notion. But I slightly differ with this. Now, first, I'd like to bring about the present scenario. Actually, recently I came through an observation of Azim Premji University, who conducted a research on the topic was myths of online education. This attracted me very much because they conducted, the students of this Azim Premji University, they conducted the research in 5 states across 26 districts, and they have covered more than 522 schools, where almost nearing 1 lakh students, they were in government sector. Because already I told you, it is the private schools maybe who could afford for the smart boards, but not the government schools. No, forget about the smart boards. Most of the government schools, they don't have even the proper current supply. Then under such conditions, the observations, the statistical data holds, this becomes very important now, where 90% of the government school students, they were willing to send their children back to school. Why? Because parents had their own problems, like no smartphone availability or no connectivity problem or charging problem, whatever. Then 70% of the parents, they felt that they were not effective. The learning could not be effective. And more than 80% surveyed, they felt that the online, teacher, my child would listen, my child would understand better only when he or she, when they see the teacher, that emotional connection is better maintained. Only then my child understands. So 80% of the parents felt that. And 90% of the teaching community felt that there is no meaningful assessment of a child's learning. The possibility was very less. And shockingly, many more observations are there, where 50% of the teachers reported that the children were unable to compliment, and 75% of the teachers, they spent on an average less than an hour a day on online classes for any grade. And more than 50% of the teachers, they shared that their knowledge and user experience on online platforms and modes, they were inadequate. It means they were not equipped properly for this. They were not trained, prepared properly for this online teaching. Here, I'm sharing all this statistical data. This is not from one single point of view, like it is neither only parents, it is not only the teachers, it is not only the students. Rather, it is from all different angles. The Azim Premji University, they have done their research and they have presented this statistical report. Now, here I would like to say that what is a remedy? Yes, the parents are busy in earning and they want their children to be busy with learning, which is not correct maybe. No, this does not mean, blended learning does not simply mean the blending of a classroom with the technology. I feel that this blending should happen between student, teacher, technology, and parent. Even the parent should be made a part of this learning. No, it's good that during lockdown, the parents also were at home. But very sad to say that the parents did not understand to some extent the needs and necessities of their children. No, they felt that like, we have paid the fee, done. It is the responsibility of the school now to take care of the children, of our children rather, they have to take care. So it is like entrusting the responsibility of their children on somebody else, which the managements or the teachers or the principals, they have been requesting the parents, please observe your children, please observe your children. But they never, the parents, maybe because of their busy schedule or maybe because of some other reasons, they could not, for some reason, at least I can say 75%, parents can excuse me, at least 75% of the parents could not focus on their child. Now with the coming of technology, for all these days, the teachers, the management or the total school, mobile was a ban in schools. But now when the whole school is in mobile, the parents have to be over conscious with their children. And here, how should the parents be made a part of this technology blended learning? the parents should be very careful, and at least they should have an eye on their child's mobile. Let them also be a part of their study and be watchful. The parents should be very, very watchful when the child is using technology. And it also becomes the responsibility of the child, of the parent, to create a ventilated corner. Many of the cases, even I personally have seen, when the child may not be seen properly and the child will be struggling, running here and there for data. No, there is no proper place for a child to sit. People would be coming, going, disturbing. So again, I would say that the parents' responsibility, now it is a parent's responsibility. Previously, when the children were sent to school, then that time the schools and the managements were taking care of the ambient atmosphere to be maintained in the school. But now it is the parents who have to take care and maintain a peaceful atmosphere. No sort of disturbances. One side the child is studying, and the other side the father or the mother, they are busy with their own serials, TV serials or news or whatever. So such things should not happen, which would be totally deviating for a child's concentration. And a child should be taught, like all these days, it was the parents, the teachers, and even the principals or the management put together, they were insisting no screen time, no screen time. But now we have to say things have got reversed. Now we have to say yes, screen time, but right usage of the electronic gadgets. These gadgets, be it laptop or tab or whatever, should be used in a right way. Cell phone is not a toy. It is an educative tool. Now, I think it's the right time that children also understand that cell phone is not a toy. And even the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity that the parents have now is to observe how the teaching is going on. Because in some of the schools, the parents are never allowed to be inside the campus, where the parents will not know what systems are being followed in the classroom, or what is the efficiency of the teacher. Maybe she must be qualified, but many a times parents have their own problem that yes, this teacher is not teaching properly, that teacher is not teaching properly. Now all these queries of the parents, they get a wonderful answer, because they also can be a part of their child's study. They also can listen. They also can look at what content is being shared by the teacher and what type of interaction is going on, what pedagogy is being followed by the teacher. All these can be observed by the parents even. Basically, this is a wonderful opportunity for the parents. And prioritize the data for the students. Here, there's a very important point where some of the parents, they say that, yes, I have the data. We have a problem with the data. I need for data for my Twitter, for my Facebook, for my WhatsApp, everything. But now they themselves need to prioritize that the data, whatever is available with their mobiles, should be first prioritized for the child's study. Only in case, even after the timing, study time, if the data is left out, then maybe they can go for that. So all these steps to be taken care by the parents in this blended education. See, blended education, that's what my purpose here of talking is, just to say that blended education is not just the online and the classroom education putting together. It is online with the parental involvement. Without the parental involvement, even previously also, when there was no online education, previously also managements have been requesting the parents that please sit with your child for at least half an hour. No, please spare some time with your child's books, and you be with your child when he or she is working with the books. But now it has become very much mandatory. And it is the parents in the blended learning can be 100% successful. The NEP can, by 2030, when NEP is going to be successfully implemented in India in a full-fledged manner, without the involvement of the parents, this blended learning, I feel, remains incomplete. No, there are many technological advancements where the management, even the teachers. So one angle is the parent involvement, and the further management, the teacher training is also very equally important. All the teachers need to be equipped with proper tools of technological teaching and also proper training. Not only equipping them with the tools, I think the training also equally plays a major role, where the teachers can take forward. Now, gone is the age of black and white. Maybe when we studied at the time of maybe in the 80s, only a blackboard and white chalk, teachers had no other, teaching aids were their maximum. But now in this colorful world, unless technology is used, education cannot be colorful, and education cannot be absorbed by the students with a happy note. So any queries?
We'll take the questions, ma'am, in the last part of the session. We have already received many questions.
Okay.
So, right. So, if you want to conclude, or like you have concluded, you want to take.
I just would like to conclude
please,
with my last statement that this IT or this technology is not a silver bullet for everything. It's not a solution for all. It is only a tool where the managements, the teachers, the parents also, they have to play their equal role. Thank you very
Absolutely. Much. Absolutely. Thank you, Bharati ma'am, for this wonderful talk on technology. You absolutely right when you said that technology is being used everywhere in our life. So we cannot exclude education. We have to embrace technology, the use of technology into education. You also talked about primarily the importance of blended learning and how we can effectively execute that part in our education. You also talked about the importance of the proactive involvement of parents into the entire learning process. And then in the end, you talked about the teachers training part. Teachers certainly needs to be equipped with all the tools. So big thanks, Bharati ma'am, for this wonderful and useful inputs on technology. I would come back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I would request Dr. Neeta Sharma ji, Neeta ma'am, if we can have your ideas, your thoughts in detail.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, no doubt there is a paradigm shift in the education sector, and it is no doubt wonderful also, because we were running on a traditional method, and the globally it was changed. But in India, the COVID-19 is making us to change the pattern of teaching basically, and here we are shifting for the online classes till 8th class for now, but yes, till 12th, you never know. But what I felt last year in this shift of the teaching method or pedagogy, what we say, or the pattern of the teaching, yes, involvement of online and offline mode, yes, it is very mandatory. And yes, somewhere emotional touch is missing in that. And if I talk about emotional touch, yes, when the teacher is teaching a student, a connect is there in the offline class. But when we talk about the online classes, it is missing somewhere when we have loaded the tab or the cell phone with the lots of videos, lots of PDF files and all stuff. But the connection of the teacher, the visibility and the connection and the aura the teacher is having and with which the student is connecting to her or him is missing somehow. So the interactive classes, yes, maybe the solution, but it is not 100% the solution for that. And if we are going for technological tools to be implemented in our teaching methods and the other things, yes, we have to take care. We have to take care about the pattern in which we are delivering. Yes, there should be some training pattern should be there. Training method should be there that should be provided to the teachers, to the other people also. And I personally believe in this thing that parents should be oriented about this. Their orientation program should be there for the parents also. Prior, you start with the online classes. Last year, we started with in a haphazard manner, but this time we are prepared. We all school are prepared. Management is prepared, and teachers, principal, everything is prepared for this online classes and the online mode of teaching. Here, what we should do, we should train the every person included in that, either management, teaching staff, principal, or the parents. These are the key stakeholders, what should I say? So these stakeholders should be treated primarily, and they should be trained how to use that, how to involve in that, how to get maximum output out of that. When a student is there and learning through the cell phone or tab or laptop, he's getting the stuff, he's getting the quantity of the stuff, but the quality is missing somewhere. That to be given with the aid of the parent sitting next to the child. When we talk about the foundation stage, primarily till 8th standard, especially, the parent observation and their interventions should be there with the child, so they can be satisfied with the content as well. The student should learn the content. So both can be, because if I take an institution as a business model, or if I take a parent as a customer, see, so I'm sorry to quote this example because I'm PhD in marketing, I have to quote like that. So until unless the parents is satisfied, we cannot move ahead. We have to make our primary customer satisfied, that is parent, right? They are believing on us, they are believing on the management, they are believing on the teaching staff, for the development of their child, for the growth of their child, for the upload of the knowledge in their mind setups, and then the belief and faith they are having on the school is getting disbalanced in this era, in this scenario. If I talk about COVID-19 and we are implementing the online classes, what we can do to fill the lacuna over here, we have to train every part of the system. We have to equip them with the tools. A lot of tools are there now. We have a lot of online interactive classes are there when students can be satisfied with the quantity as well as the quality of the staff teaching over there. Meanwhile, the management or the principal, they have to interact with the parents also. What problem they are facing and how it can be solved out. Because if I talk about NCR region or some capital cities or the metro cities, yes, parents are aware about it. If I talk about the town areas, suburban areas, parents are least bothered about it. Sometimes they don't have, as ma'am said, they don't have data facility, Wi-Fi. They don't have the connectivity. Proper connectivity is not there. Sometimes two childs are there and they are having only one smartphone and both classes are running parallelly. So how to manage that? So if you talk to the parent, they will come up with the problem. I'm having one child in the 8th standard, or I'm having one child in the 5th standard. How to manage with the classes? Now it is the responsibility of the school and the management to shift the things like that. This is the primary and I will say this is a technical thing that to be solved through by the management and the teachers also. The connectivity with the parents and the communication, proper channel of the communication should be there. And second thing that I said earlier also, the emotional touch, how to maintain that, because it is very much mandatory. See, the quantity up, if a student is senior 1 or like in 8th standard, 7th standard, 9th standard, they can have the stuff from the Google also that can be delivered by the teacher also. So it is almost same, but how it is different when it is being teaching, it is being taught by a teacher, having the emotional content with them. EQ should be there with the teacher, and the stuff should be loaded with that emotional content and then to be delivered to the student so they can grasp it, they can learn it, and they can imbibe that in their knowledge system in the brain. So they can churn it up and they can come with a lot of creativity and the different creative ideas also. Because rote learning and the other traditional method will not work now anymore. Will not work, definitely. we have to focus on the different channel of the teaching and the mode of the teaching also. And this is a different scenario. Paradigm shift is there, so we have to change ourselves and thinking also, and the our methods also, and the feedback system also, and the communication channel also, because it's all is being connected. Until unless we give a proper input, the technically sound and emotionally sound and value added input should be there, and that to be processed with the student in their mind, with the satisfaction of the parents also. Then it gives you output that is a value added education, and that is mandatory, because we are living in such a society where prior to the knowledge, okay, it's fine, you have to upload that with the value and the ethics and the tradition also. It is very mandatory nowadays in the society. If I talk about the society system, the organization systems, or the institutional systems, or the communication channels, or the hierarchy, or the authority and the chain of the organization, yes, we have to talk about the values also, because somewhere the student will go in the practical world and they have to deal with the parents, they have to deal with the other students, other colleagues also, the bosses also, and the other peon and different staff also. So they should have that ethics and that morale with them. So how to deal with the people with having different mind setups and different sort of living, different traditions they are having, different culture they are having. So interdisciplinary and intercultural education system should be given now. As NEP said that there should be more focus on the mother language. Yes, it should be there, but what if a parent is getting shifted to another region, right? If the child is being taught in Kannada and then they are getting shifted to Punjab, how he will manage, how he or she will manage. So this should be considered also. I'm very much happy with the reformation of this education system, that they have reformed the Bal Vatika and Anganwadi and other, along with the first, second, third standard, and then they are having 3 classes, then they are having the other 9 to 12, and the student can move on, and they have removed the board class of the 10th and the other things also. Yes, it is good shift, but somewhere like we have implemented the CC pattern in a very untrained manner. It should not be implemented like that. So we have to think about this also. We have to make out the ways out of, with which we can move ahead, with lots of training that is required in the education sector, lots of training that is required in the non-teaching staff also. So how this NEP can be implemented effectively. Otherwise, someday the day will come, okay, we are cancelling the NEP 2020 now. Like CC pattern, we cancelled. But so if you want this, the NEP should be there and effectively should be there with the students, with the parents, and should be societal enough, right? It should be a society-oriented policies there, and we have to manage that. We have to connect with the society. And yes, now globalization is there. No doubt we have to connect with the global scenario also. We have to prepare our child with that. So there are 2 different things are now there. Online classes, technologically blended classes, technology blended teaching methods, along with the globalization. We have to prepare our child for that also. So we have to include both. We have to include both for the further advancement in the education sector and the other things. Thank you. This is what I want to share with all of you.
Thank you, Neeta ma'am, for sharing these very useful points. You talked about how we should and we must involve parents. You called upon the need of organizing orientation program for parents. You also talked about why we need to satisfy the requirements of parents. We must, look at them from that customer, perspective, that we must satisfy the customer's need. You also talked about the importance of value-based education and why we need to inculcate these values among our learners. You also talked about the challenge this, mother tongue integration would throw to the children who are coming from those families whose parents are on transferable jobs. You also talked about the need why we need to prepare our learners, with that global kind of perspective, because this world is becoming a single platform, and we need to prepare our kids with 21st century skills. So big thanks, Anita ma'am, for sharing these valuable inputs. I would come back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am. And now I would invite Jaswinder Singh sir. Sir, I would request you if you can have your ideas and details. Jaswinder sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rajul, and good afternoon again, Bharti ma'am and Dr. Neeta. We're all talking about integration of technology. It so happens that we are all from the same field. So I too am going to talk about technology, integrating technology into learning. And I'm also going to give my part of thought what blended learning should be or what it could be. Because from the last 15 years, we are using blended learning for language teaching. For your information, we work with 3,000 schools and 1 million students, and all these 1 million students are taught using blended technology. So I'll give you my perspective, my experience, my learning of what is happening, what needs to be done, what can be done. But to start with, we all need to understand that NEP 2020 is a disruptive policy. It brings in a lot of change, a lot of welcome change, and we need to achieve those milestones which have been set by NEP 2020. But the most important here is that we need to see to it that we train our teachers well so that they can achieve the milestones which are set. Right? Likely said by Dr. Neeta that it should not happen that the way we said, Aaj CCA band ho raha hai, so similarly, we should not have that NEP 2020 is going to be cancelled. We have to achieve that. But for all this, we need to train our teachers well. We need to start with our teachers because they are the people who are actually going to implement this. But what should be the first level of training? We are talking about 14 million teachers to be trained. And that too in a size, look at the size of a country. We have to go to each and every corner of this country and train these 14 million teachers, which is a mammoth task. How do we achieve that? That's a question. So what I would suggest is first, we need to train all our teachers in using the right kind of technology tools. Our teachers need to know how to use these tools. You see, they learned on their own by hook or by the crook because they had no choice. They got and they have achieved a certain level of expertise in using these tools. But more, how do they use this entire technology? How do they use technical tools to get access to the vast information and knowledge which is out there? You see, we have to understand that today's teacher will never be able to cope up with the speed of today's learner. Reason being is we teachers are technology migrants and current students are technology residents. They were born with a mobile phone in their lap. They use it much better than us. They have access to information and they can access that information faster and in a better way than what we can do. So we as teachers have to shift from being a sage on the stage to a facilitator because we will not be able to cope up to them. So we have to learn how to facilitate learning, how to enable learning. We may not know everything, but we have to see to it that our students are made to able to know that. How do we do that? So my first example is how do we use technology in the simplest of manner? Fortunately, India has the cheapest internet in the world. It is accessible to almost 80% of the students in this country. And I'm sure within the next 1 year, the government is planning to make it available to everybody. We don't need high-end coding skills for teachers. We need to implement the flipped classrooms. How does that work? Let me give you an example. This is all blended learning, ma'am. Bharti ma'am, I'm here also putting up the same thing as blended learning. That if I were to take up a session today on volcanoes, what would I do? I would simply go to the class, open up my book and start downloading whatever I know about volcanoes or what is prescribed in the textbook to the students. So it's going to be a one-way communication. Some of the students are going to retain. Most of them are not going to retain. They're just going to get bored. They may understand, they may not understand, and ultimately they'll have to cram or mug it up. Let's look at the flipped classroom. The same thing. Instead of coming and teaching today in the classroom, what I would do is tell the students that tomorrow I'm going to talk about volcanoes. And I want each one of you students to come up with 10 lines of your own on what you think, or what you know, or what you can find out about volcanoes. As soon as you do this, as soon as the students go home, the first thing that they're going to do is straight go onto the computer and Google out volcanoes. But unfortunately, these students will not find 10 lines on the internet. They will find 10,000 lines. So what they do is they will read through them. So the first important thing is we need to inculcate good reading habits amongst our students. Libraries, digital libraries have to be made. They have to form a habit of reading, because NEP 2020 talks about research-based learning. You can't do research without reading. So that is what we need to work on. Okay, so what the child does, he goes and he scans through, skims through the entire thing and comes up with his 10 lines. The next day, all 30 students come to the class. What they have to do is they have to stand up, each student one by one, and do a presentation on what he has done research on. So the first skill that the students acquire is presentation skills. Second, they have to stand in front of the entire class and communicate what they have found out. So second is they work on their communication skills. Third, they have to discuss amongst themselves. So collaborative skills and peer group learning skills. So what they do is each one of them comes up with their 10 lines. So instead of 10 lines, they've got 30 into 10, 300 lines. And then they work on 10 common points. Right? So they've learned how to debate. They have learned how to reason out. They have learned how to discuss. They've learned how to present. And in this, each and every child would be involved. It is not going to be one person downloading everything, the other this thing. It's everybody talking about what they know. So this becomes a very, very interesting class. And this is what I would call as blended teaching. There's classroom environment and there's online environment. There's internet-based learning. Now, in the current times, the same thing too can be done in a digital, using a digital platform or a platform like Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or Zoom, where they get to it. But one important thing is, Bharti ma'am, you did talk about this point, is that unless the teacher is shown, is not there, and a lot of parents say that because the teacher is not there or because the teacher is not seen, the students lose interest. That's absolutely right. But that is where the skill comes in. The first and the most important thing, each and every child should have their cameras on. Second, do not combine multiple sections at a time. I have seen schools doing 200 students, a presentation to 200 students at a time. No. I would rather say your class of 40 have batches of 20. Do not have large groups. Because when you do this thing, I have done my own research. I have done my research in a school in a town known as Bina, which is in a district in Madhya Pradesh, Sagar district. I have seen that in a session of about an hour, you have to take each child's name at least 3 times. The child should feel connected. And you should not start straight by teaching. Ask them how they were. Ask them how their mother is. Call their mother and say, hello, how are you, mama? Do that, because students need to enjoy these learning sessions. It is a very difficult thing just to look at one teacher for 1 hour. You can look at cartoons for 20 hours, 10 hours, 2 hours. But for the teacher, so the teacher needs to be that way. She has to change. And these are the things that we need to teach. A teacher need not know everything what she has to teach, because now she can use the internet to find out what she needs to do. A teacher need not know, nowhere is it written that a teacher should know everything in the world. No, she can take access, she can access internet, access information and deliver. So this, if done properly, is what we actually call blended teaching, where there's a, what is blend? It's a combination of ILT and CBT. ILT is instructor-led teaching, that a teacher actually takes the students through, rather whether she is virtual or in person doesn't matter. And it is the other part is CPT, computer based teaching. There's a part that the student on his or her own works on the computer, works on practice for components, works on internet, gets the kind of information, and then prepares it for a presentation. And what does the teacher do? It allows them to do it, tells them it's correct or not, and sees to that it progresses. So that is what is required. So we need to train our teachers on teaching skills, like you said, the pedagogy. Pedagogy is very important, Dr. Neeta. That's what you talked about. Pedagogy is important, and the pedagogies have changed. What we were taught with a teacher having a white chalk and a pink chalk and a green chalk on a blackboard is gone. Now the teacher has to light the spark in the child. Okay, this is it. Go do it. The child is capable of doing that. We are unnecessarily restricting their growth. Allow them to bloom. Allow them to go beyond the books. Believe me, books are actually restricting learning. Why should a child know only this much when he can know this much? Give them an open heart, but tell him that this is what I want end of the day. So you need to come up with can-do statements. That if you do this session, this is what you should be able to know. This is what you should be able to, and then go ahead, do it. And the teacher has to work as a support material. That is very important. That is use of technology. And for that, you don't need high-end technology tools. Even a small mobile phone is okay. But if parents can afford, they can go in for a computer or a tablet, because I personally feel that this is too small a screen. But still it can be used, because when pandemic hit us, everything was closed. And hats up to parents. A lot of them have given away their social media. They have given up their phones to their kids. First, like you said, ma'am, do not use phone. Now the phone has to be used. But yes, times are changing. We have to be progressive. We have to change with the changing times. We cannot do what was done 5 years back or just 2 years back. Life has changed. Post-COVID, it is going to change more. And believe me, the blended teaching is going to be there even after that. So now is the time to train your teachers on how to use technology tools, and train your students that how to do research, how to do reading. I work with 1 million students, and in the last 15 years, I have realized that reading is not happening. We say increasing, it is going down. So as a company, we have developed digital libraries. Give a book to the child, ask him to read, and when the child is reading, it gets recorded, it comes back to the teacher. When they listen proper, they speak proper. When they are reading with efforts, they will know what is in there. And today's generation doesn't like paper. Okay, they like digital, give it to them in a digital form, because they have a different mindset. Like I said, they are born within technology. In fact, even their childbirth was with the help of technology. So you can't blame them that why are they so much into technology. They are going to be there, and that is going to be there. Second is, this is what I wanted to talk about technology. So first, let's prepare our teachers. Students are already prepared, right? One. Now going on to the second part, because I come from the language industry. So we as a company work with so many schools. Ma'am, we've got a lot of schools in Hyderabad. Even in Aligarh, ma'am, we are working with schools where we work on development of English language skills. So when the first draft of NEP came in, we realized we need to have more languages. So we've come up with a Sanskrit lab, the first Sanskrit lab in the world. How do you make Sanskrit learning interesting? See, language is never taught. Language is never learned. It is acquired. So you need to give them the platform, the environment to do that. So we've been doing that with more than 1 million students. But coming to what NEP talks about is that they are saying, yes, during the early foundation years, let's use the local or the mother tongue to teach those foundation level courses, the core subjects. Excellent. Though I promote English, but I strongly believe that if we teach them in the language that they already know, they will learn better. Understand one thing. Take, for example, a child of class 1. He's barely understanding English. He's able to little bit comprehend, and then we are teaching him mathematics and environment science in English. एक साइड पे बेचारा समझ नहीं पा रहा है, दूसरी बात he is made to understand. How does it work? So what we need to do is, in the foundation years, let the school teach in the local language so that the concepts are clear. But this does not mean that English should be put aside. Dr. Neeta, you did talk about this point. Very important. What if a child transfers? So one important thing, NEP does not say that you have to teach in local language. You can, you should, you may. It is not compulsory. So what should be done? There's a research which says that by the age of 8, a child can acquire up to 5 languages. NEP talks about only 3 language formula: the local language or the mother tongue, the foreign language English, and the classical language. For both Hyderabad and Aligarh, it's going to be Sanskrit. So let them have that. And you know what? If a child speaks 3 or more languages, their brain works better. It encourages them to be more logical. Imagine one line, use 3 languages and still make logical sense. That's important. The more languages that a child can communicate in, the smarter that person becomes. And the world needs smarter people, not hardworking people. Hardworking is going to be done by the robots, by the machines. We need people to be able to understand, communicate, compassionate, everything. And that comes with language. If you acquire any language properly, your culture becomes better. You become a better person. Any language. So let there be the local language, because that local language will give them access to the local heritage, will make them understand core subjects properly. It will make them respect that language. Indian languages do have their part. English, yes, we need it because we need to communicate with the world. We can't be left out. We are going to be the future of the world, the youngest of the population. So this population has to communicate with the world. So English is as important as it was. It doesn't lose its importance. And third, the classical language, Sanskrit language. If we are able to communicate, if we are able to read those scriptures, there's a lot of knowledge, not information, knowledge buried in those scriptures. Let them do it. Plus, they will become more nationalists. Let us love our languages. Countries have fought wars for languages. You know what? The partition of Bangladesh from Pakistan was because of Bengali was not allowed. If people are so strong with their languages, we need to be equally strong. But we should not forget the language of the world. We should take over the world. We should control the business of the world by having English as a language. So all these 3 languages are okay. We should stop giving a higher level language or a lower level language. All 3 languages can be acquired. And believe me, Sanskrit is a very, very logical language. Do you know what? In Hindi, we have choti matra, badi matra. In Sanskrit, we have 3 matras. There's a different thing for male, different for female, and different for transgenders. All that was already taught, which the other languages still did not taught. So what I would say is, we should not worry about these language things. Let us give enough exposure to these languages. Let the students become smart people. Let them learn how to learn on their own. Let them be critical thinkers. Let them be voracious readers. That is what will create the future generation. That's what we need to work, and that I think NEP 2020 is talking about. It's talking about technology in education. That doesn't mean that a robot will come and teach. No, the teacher will use the robot to teach. You are always going to be there. I am always going to be there. But I need to bring in that soft touch, that compassionate, that love, that care, and that understanding, which a machine will not do. And the rest will happen by itself. So I will conclude with this saying that NEP 2020, when they talk about technology, they talk about using technology to do better, to know better, and to understand better. When we are talking about languages, let's give the required respect to our own languages, because there's such a lot of culture, such a lot of knowledge buried into our scriptures, which we are barely touching. Ma'am, if you look at Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, where you are now, Telangana has a strong heritage. Ma'am, Aligarh, full of heritage. I come from Gujarat, a lot of heritage. We need to get access to that. So our students, our learners need to know this. So very strong advocate of languages, mathematics, that is numeracy, and other literacy. And that's how I, conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sundar sir, for this wonderful talk on technology and language. Absolutely, we all agree with you, sir, when you said teachers are the digital migrant, and the learners, today's learners are the natives. So teachers need to adapt accordingly. So big thanks, Jaswinder sir, for sharing these very valuable points. And now with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. I would now request all the participants that if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. We have already received many questions, during the registration part. So I'm going to present these questions. I would also request other participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. So meanwhile, we start receiving these questions. I'll just take a minute and I would share my screen and would share the kind of activities we have been doing, Schoolology Solutions. So I'll just share my screen for a minute. Some of you are already aware with Schoolology Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 45 cities, working with some around 4,500 institutions. We help institutions in three ways. We help them in buying writing from right people at right price. We also help them in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, generator, furniture, to other institutions who may need that. We also help institutions in raising money. That may be in terms of fee financing, loans. Why any educational institution would need a platform like Schoolology Solutions? You already have your old supplier, your team is expert, you're getting good discount, best discount, you believe. Why you need a platform like Schoolology? There are two main reasons. First, we give bulk orders to different companies, so we have more negotiating, I would say, power with those companies, so we get you a better deal. Number one. Second, which is very important reason, in our country we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers. It's very difficult for any school leader, or for your team to interact with all the companies in one particular category, to negotiate with them, to differentiate between their products. Here we come into picture. We understand your actual requirement, your budgetary limitation, your the kind of products you are looking for, and kind of experiences you had with your previous vendors and suppliers. And then we have category experts who interact with different companies on daily basis from their particular category. They have those technical capabilities to negotiate and differentiate between different products available. We also talk to their previous clients so that we can certify their credibility. And after doing that negotiation, the filtration process, we recommend you the right set of companies. There are different areas where we are helping educational institutions: smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel supply, solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that will save you at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. This is a guaranteed kind of a 5% additional revenue generation for your institution. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different educational institution in just one category, that's bus insurance. We are perhaps India's largest school bus insurance partner. Some major highlights for last year: we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classroom, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other, and uniform in 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. With this, I'll end my talk here, and I'll start presenting questions to all the key speakers. I would now request Bharti ma'am, if I may present the first question to you.
Yes, sir, please.
Ma'am, this question has come from Ms. Zubeda Shaw. Ms. Zubeda is principal with SRK International School, Naveli, Vadakutu, Tamil Nadu, right? So the question is about how, what kind of features this NEP is offering for disabled students. We can talk about the inclusive education. If you can highlight,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, inclusive education, though it was, this has been made a part, like inclusive education is a part of RTE. 2009 RTE itself, inclusive education was made a part. But this NEP says that even the technology, the extension of technology is possible with especially disabled people. No, they also have to be brought in the mainstream line. It is not that we keep them away or we aloof them or we teach them in a separate way. Unless they are brought into the same loop line along with the normal children, they cannot have self-confidence. They cannot lead a normal life. Maybe they are specially abled, but still they need to be taught in a very regular and natural way, maybe with some special focus on them. And special care needs to be taken along with other students. It is not that the NEP also says that they have to be a part of regular learning stream. Previously there were schools like Upakars, Srikars and all where only specially abled children, they were taught. Now I don't think they find place in this NEP. RTE says, RTE and even NEP also, they say that these people, these children also have to be a part of regular students only. Unless they mingle with the regular students, they cannot lead a normal life. With their disabilities also it is possible to live. It is not that they don't have right to education or they don't have any right to lead a normal life. So unless they are a part of regular school, they cannot. The best thing that they have done is, yes, they have to be a part of the school. They need to be brought, and the managements have to make their own special arrangements, like providing a lift or arranging classrooms in the lower levels, or special tutors to be employed for the same, such things, and psychologists to be there. All these added up, these children, specially abled children, also to be a normal, treated as normal.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bharti ma'am. I'll come back to you. Now, I would request Neeta ma'am, if I may present the next question to you. The question I have already posted in the chat box. It has been asked by Miss Chayan Mishra. Chayan ji is PRT with Titiksha Public School, Delhi. The question says, how will schools evaluate students? In fact, a lot of people have asked this question during the previous sessions as well, ma'am. What would be the key changes in the assessment part? How do you visualize it?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And if I talk about the feedback, or if I say about the assessment or evaluation, about the content which we have already given to the students, again I say the same words: the customer satisfaction should be there. So, like, student as well, the parent should be satisfied, and we have to access both now. It is not about only the child. When we are asking the parents to involve with the child over there, and to be involved in the education system also, to be there at the time of learning also. So we need to access both now. Now we have to evaluate both, parent as well as the child, how much they are learning and how much they are satisfied. So this make a chain, particularly a communication chain should be there. And feedback, if I talk about the technical things, yes, we do have lots of platforms now, technological sound platforms we are having for the evaluation. Now the IT is coming with lots of solutions now, and there are lots of software now. We can have the access and the evaluation and the feedback from them.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. I'll come back to you. Now, I would request Jaswinder sir. Sir, as you belong to the world of languages, a lot of people have asked this question. How, like, what kind of importance we are going to see with the language English? Are we going to see that, a lot of people believe that this NEP is an attempt to dilute the importance of English. What are your assessments, sir?
I don't think it is an attempt to dilute the importance of English. It's an attempt to give the right kind of respect to the Indian languages. Now, if I want to raise somebody's bar, doesn't mean the other bar goes down. English, if we have both of this way, I'm just raising this, I'm not bringing this down. So English as a language will never lose its importance, because remember one thing, what India is aiming to be, we are already the back office of the world. We're going to be the factory of the world, and we are also trying to be the service center of the world. Now, for this, we have to communicate with the world, and the language of communication internationally is English. So nowhere can that be diluted, and it should not be attempted also. You should not attempt to dilute it, because parents today are paying more money, better fees to more expensive schools, because they don't want their students to suffer what they have suffered. They want them to acquire English as a language. It is not that language makes you a superb person, but it helps you where you need to be. You can be confident, you can go and connect with the outside world. So it will not lose that. But yes, Indian languages will get the required respect and the attention which is required, because you know what, our civilization, our culture is much older than the British culture. We've got a better culture. We've got, I mean, education started from India. The first university was set up in India, and that was not in English. Yet, you have to understand, today, if India is progressing at whatever pace, it's because we can speak English. So we should never try to attempt to do what, if people say that it will dilute it, it will not dilute. And we as educationists should not allow it to be diluted. But on the other hand, give access to more languages. And if that is becoming a challenge, there's technology always available for that. You can give them access to more languages, improve their other languages. So that problem is not going to be there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jaswant sir. I'll come back to you. I would now request Bharti ma'am. Ma'am, there is a question in the chat box from Miss Malini Maria. The question says, will there be difference in boards like state, CBSE, ICSE, or it's a common syllabus nationwide?
Good question. Actually, still there are many educationists who are thinking about this, because here, when it comes to the state, they at one point of time, NEP says that yes, you have to focus on, as the sir has rightly said, you have to focus on the primary learning should happen in the local language. Now, when it has to happen in the local language, the state board remains the same, and ICSE and CBSE, they will maintain their own independence, but NEP is not going to damage any of this. Maybe, yes, some of the rules may be changed, because in teachers, for example, if you go to the teachers, there was a transfer system in teachers, but NEP says the transfers should be restricted. No, there is a chances are less, so that the effect can be more, the connectivity of the teacher and the student community can be more. The chances of transfers have gone down. That doesn't mean they are taking away the freedom of state boards. The boards will remain the same. As far as I understand, these boards will not get diluted, or maybe one nation, one syllabus concept may come after 20 or 30 more years, but not at this point of time. Maybe by 2030, this will not happen.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Bharti ma'am. For that, I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Now, I would request Anita ma'am. Ma'am, the next question, I've already posted the question in the chat box. Miss Neha from, she's a TGT Mathematics with Diksha Public School, Delhi. How to cope up with the gap of studies from 2020-21? This is a very, very important question and scenario in today's today's time. How to cope up with that learning gap? Neeta ma'am.
Yes, definitely there is a gap. If I talk about 2020-21 and 21-22, there is a gap. And as a principal of the school, as a management part of the over there, I suggested my teachers that you have to focus on the topic that to be repeated in the next session also, and more focus should be there on the part which is being repeated in the next class also, and that is being left out over there, because we were not prepared for the online class, and we get it. And we, when we got the education on the online platform, we were not having that proper learning was there. So in Haphazard, it happened. But now we have to do more focus on the valuable topics. And as she is a mathematics PhD, so lots of efforts to be given on the concept. Mathematical concept should be there, and lots of interactive classes should be there with the students, either Zoom, Meet, or you go for the Google Class or other things. You have to focus again the topics as well as the current topics and the blended one, the repeated one also. So there you have to put more focus now. In this session, you have to put more focus on the syllabus, and you have to channelize or make the curriculum or the syllabus like in a very easy to hard flow. Like once you started with the topic that is to be repeated, and then you started with the new topics, then you go for the hard ones and the typical ones or the numeracy part. So this is how we have to manage the topics accordingly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anita ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Now I would request Jaswinder sir, and this would be the last question for the day. Ms. Chakila Wasabi Sandhya, she's an educator with Gautami Vidya Kshetra School, Hyderabad. The question says, it is a fantastic reform going to take place, but how to reach the goals of creativity among children instead of rote learning? So it's a question of the nation. The nation wants to know, how we can inculcate that creativity among students instead of rote learning. Jaswinder sir.
The first point is to stop restricting their learning. Stop creating boundaries that this is what your curriculum is. You have to give them chance to think. The first thing that I would do, instead of giving them a question and asking them to answer, give them an answer, tell them frame a question, which is more difficult and creative. Simple thing, that this is what the answer is. What could be the question for that? So they start thinking. Normally what you do is you give them a question, it's a rote learned answer that they deliver. Don't give that. That's one thing. Second thing, ask them to read. Third thing, ask them to ask questions to their own batchmates. Bring in peer group learning. What is happening right now is a teacher, she will download everything, students will upload it. No. Let her disseminate information, give a lot of information, and then say, okay, if you were in this position, what would you do? If you had to do this, what would you have done? Read a story out of them and tell them who is the main character, why is this character, who is the best character, why do you think is the best character? So they have to learn to think. The moment you start learning to think, then you want to know more. When you want to know more, you are not restricting yourself to those 21 questions or that 50 questions out of which we are going to ask them questions. So that is what creativity is. Every human is already creative. You just have to unleash that creativity, open it up, give them a platform to come and put forward this thing. Right now, we are giving them everything packed in a box. Here, eat it. That is why they don't think. Human brain is the best brain. We are not using it even 2% because creativity is not there. Because we have a habit ke ye to mil jayega. So what needs to be done is allow them to think. There should be a science day. There should be a Dr. Abdul Kalam day in the school where everybody sits and says, okay, think. Think of wild ideas. Think of what you want to do. You know what? You see the mobile phones today. We did not know 20 years back that there's going to be a mobile phone, but there used to be a movie, the TV serial, Dr. Spark, right? He would open up a phone and talk, and we would wonder, ye kaise phone chalta hai? And see, the phones are there because somebody thought. So allow them to think wild. Do not force a child to study what you want to do. NEP is exactly doing that. Let him do what he wants to do, what he loves to do. He's not doing anything. Let him choose his subjects. Why should I study a subject? Because you want me to give me that subject? Because you have a particular teacher only? Because you are not offering that? Why? Let me do what I love and I'll be the most creative person. If I'm the most intelligent, you make me do something which I don't want to do, I'll become stupid. This is what the British government did to us, made us stupid, made us only followers. We are not born to be followers. We are born to be creative. We are born to do this thing. So remove that parameter of this is what you have to do. Give them open. And that's exactly what NEP is doing. Look at that in and out, hop in, hop out. You don't want to study? Okay. 2-3 years, don't do anything. Come back. You feel bored? No, I want to do something. I want to go explore. I want to go to the Himalayas. Go for a year. Come back. Start your college again. That is what is important. That is what 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is doing. That's what they are saying. Bring in research. Bring in creativity. And never ever ask a student not to ask a question. If you don't know the answer, tell him I'll get back to you. But don't say, don't ask me this question. Because the moment you stop answering them, they will stop asking questions. When you stop asking questions, you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, creativity goes for a toss. So the only thing is, first step, give them an answer in the question paper and I tell them, make a question. That's where you will. So creativity is possible. It is there. We need to unleash that power. Let a student be a teacher for a day. Why should we have only one teacher's day? Make 5 teachers' day. Let the teachers become students. See what the kids can do. You know what? For every rule that we bring in, they come out with a solution to break that rule. Am I right? That's creativity. Let's celebrate that. Give them more rules, give them more things. Let them come out with their solutions. Don't give them a solution, give them a problem. What we say, this is the problem, give me a solution. No, give them a problem. They will work out the solution and give them practical problems. I think that should work. I wish I was born again to be a part of the NEP 2020. The way I studied, I don't know what happened.
Right.
Over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jaswinder sir, for that wonderful response. Big thanks, Bharti ma'am, Neeta ma'am, Jaswinder sir, for your wonderful thoughts. And I must thank all the participants for being with us. But with this, we come to the end of the session. But before we end the session, I would like to, request our key speakers if we can have your concluding remark. And, we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also suggest one idea that you would like to execute if you get a chance to become Minister of Education. So what would be your priority? So I would request Dr. Neeta Sharma ji, ma'am, if I may request you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority to execute if you get a chance to become Union Minister of Education?
Definitely. If I'll be at, so empathy will be there, and like if I talk about this thing, is I want to create a happy soul and happy mind. That is very important for the society. You can load a person with the knowledge, but where is the wisdom? Where is the value? Where is the culture? Where is the tradition? You have to become first of all happy, then load the knowledge, then give your wisdom, what is right, what is wrong, and do the right thing for the society, for the nation, for the sake of the globe, right? This is how we have to channelize the education system, and we have to create our students. The limit-free students, so the creative student, innovative students with lots of ethics and the value system along with them in the soul, in the mind. That's all I want to say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Neeta ma'am, for your participation. I would now request Bharti ma'am, before I go to Jaswinder sir. Bharti ma'am, I may request you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Sir, I believe in the dictum Spardhaya Vardhate Vidya. Unless the interaction happens, maybe education cannot spread. The more we interact with people, and I feel that these electronic platforms now, they have thrown open many more opportunities to the people, not only the student sector, even to the teacher sector, management sector, to everyone. They have given this opportunity to have a wonderful interaction. And this is how the knowledge spreads. And that we should take it to the children also. Like, unless they interact with each other, unless they are able to share their views with each other, maybe the creativity, what Jaswinder sir was talking about, the creativity hidden with each child cannot come out. Their ideas, their thoughts have to be brought out. And this may not happen, this is the schools, the classroom atmosphere, the moment the teacher enters, the routine way, children stand up silently and the teacher says, be silent, be silent. Gone are the days when we have to say, be silent. Now we have to say, come on, speak out. Come on, please. Have interaction with each other. Come on, discuss, present it. The presentation skills, the discussion skills, interaction skills, the listening skills also will increase with this. So that atmosphere we should be able to create in a classroom.